A herniated disc, by the way, often develops slowly, and that's precisely why you must know these three essential tips, because they are specifically designed to help you safeguard your back before it's too late. Each of these three tips is extremely important, and that's why you should listen to all of them.
So you can get a clear picture and understand, look, here are the vertebrae with the discs in between. And the discs are essentially like a cushion that sits between the vertebrae, absorbing all the impact nicely. And if everything's functioning properly and the person leans forward, then the muscles in the back will naturally relax and give way. And the moment he leans backward, the muscles in the front will relax and give way. So the muscles that pull down here and here, like the abdominal muscles, for instance, and the back extensors, have a tension level that's not excessively high, so the discs can be well nourished, they're compressed and relieved, allowing them to soak up fresh nutrients, release waste materials efficiently, and everything's just fine. But we spend way too much time sitting without balancing it out, and the result is that when we're often in this posture, the hip flexor, which runs here, becomes overly shortened, and that ultimately leads to the effect that we're pulled forward when we stand, and the back muscles have to continuously work to counteract that pull. Imagine someone is pulling forward and someone else is pulling back at the same time. Where does that pressure go? It goes to the intervertebral discs, and unfortunately most people today live with very compressed discs simply because they don't stretch enough. And with stretching, we're already at tip 1. Look, I'll demonstrate it with Petra. After standing, if you've sat for a long time, it's a good idea to lean back and stretch to release some of that built-up tension and stiffness. Then it's best to place both hands on your buttocks, stretch nicely, and then pull the groin area in, perhaps even your back. Then you'll notice, oh, the back muscles are already too tight. Make sure to hold this exercise for a full 2 minutes. After that, switch to the other side, because the body is constantly forced to pull against the muscles that are overly tight in the front area of the body. The back muscles get tensed, where massage therapists always say, oh, you're so tense, we really need to focus on loosening up that specific area. We stretch them too by doing the opposite movement, simply bend forward. And then it starts to pull here, and then what's tight in the back reacts to that by stretching out naturally. What's tight in the front also gets stretched. And if you just do these two exercises, not much can go wrong anymore because the overall pressure on the discs is already significantly reduced. The movement is one thing, but equally important is making sure the structure's condition is properly addressed. That leads us to nutrition. Petra is in charge of that.
And as Roland just explained to you, through the movement forward and backward, or any motion at all, the disc gets compressed like a sponge, squeezing all the waste fluid out of it entirely and fully. Fluids that aren't good for you. And when it relaxes again, the disc soaks up nutrients and gets fully replenished once more. That's why maintaining a healthy diet is so crucial. In this context, people often stress the importance of adopting an alkaline diet, which is particularly beneficial for the discs, because the disc is essentially connective tissue, and this type of tissue requires proper nourishment to maintain its elasticity, flexibility, and functionality throughout the years. And that just requires a diet that, as I mentioned, ideally should be alkaline-based. But what exactly is an alkaline diet? To put it simply, it's a diet that's centered around plant-based foods and ingredients. So the more plants you add to your diet, the more alkaline it becomes. Essentially, it's about reducing animal-based foods and focusing more on plant-based options for your meals. And if you stick with it, you'll notice it's not only great for your overall health, but also significantly benefits your spinal discs in the long run. So you've now heard about two extremely important things. Stretching and, of course, proper nutrition is crucial. But there's one thing that people are really afraid of, and that fear creates stress, and that stress does something to your back. Maybe you'd like to dive into that a bit more and explain it in greater detail.
Yes, and that's precisely why tip number 3, a particularly important one, is that when back pain occurs, it suggests there's too much tension pulling in the front and an excessive counterpull happening in the back region. That means the discs are already under quite a bit of pressure. Pulling in the front, pulling in the back, it puts pressure on the discs. And if you notice that it's already not going well, then the pressure is definitely high. And in that moment, you should really be a bit more careful. A disc is always injured and its side wall always tears when excessive pressure is applied, especially during unexpected or intense loads. And pile onto the already present baseline load, further increasing the overall strain and pressure. The suddenness is what can cause it. So if you start exercising now, but until it fully takes effect, you might want to protect yourself a little bit more during that phase. Then, for example, don't stand at the trunk and yank out a crate of water with a sudden motion. Instead, take your time and move carefully to avoid any unnecessary strain. Lifting slowly works because your body has the necessary time to adjust and compensate naturally, but anything sudden or jerky could easily become the trigger for a herniated disc problem. And if you want to avoid that, you should be a bit mindful of it until everything is nicely flexible, and then you can go back to lifting your water crate a bit faster out of the trunk as usual.
So that also means that when you have back pain and often fear a herniated disc, this fear creates stress, which of course is dangerous overall. Maybe it really happens.
Stress heightens the tension, increasing the risk even further. That alone is already a form of relaxation because you no longer have that fear. We've explained to you how it happens. It no longer comes from some black box where you don't know why it's happening to you, but you understand the connections, and that makes you so calm because everything is fine.
And that's why make sure to send this video to someone you know who, for example, already suffers from back pain. I'm certain they will thank you immensely for it.